Hello, dear educators. If you are there exploring about Montessori, we have a talk. So, we are going to talk about what is the Montessori method and why it still matters. Let's explore this. So, Montessori method is an educational approach. Now, this approach is around child. It is child-centric and it focuses on self-directed learning, hands-on activity and collaborative play. So, this approach is about children making their own creative choices in their learning and an instructor guiding the process, then taking lectures. So, let's explore the core philosophy of this method. One big idea that changes everything. So, when I say that, I want to say that children are natural learners and we as adults need to get out of their way. You must be thinking how it is possible. Yes, as I say, children are natural learners. We need to give them that environment. We need to give them that scope to grow. So we talk about Montessori method in different ways, which talks about the idea of children-led learning or child-led learning. In this, what is happening is the child is choosing his work based on his interest, intrinsic motivation and external rewards. So a child wants to do what he feels like. For instance, if it is a craft class and the teacher has think that they will be going about drawing a kite or doing a craft work around it, and the child doesn't feel that way, he wants to build something else. So that is the child-led learning. Absorbent method. Absorbent method or absorbent mind, which is between 0 to 6 years with the children. In that age, the children absorb knowledge from their environment effortlessly like sponges. We don't have to tell them. They will observe, they will learn. Now moving to the next areas we have prepared environment. So environment. Prepared environment, with the name it's suggesting that we are prepared. So in this, every object, shelf and material is intentionally designed to invite exploration and independence. So if there is a prepared shelf in front of the children, they will go, they will explore and they will do activities independently. Next, we have mixed age classrooms. So, in mixed age classrooms, what happens is there are older children and there are younger ones. So, the older children are teaching the younger ones and they are reinforcing their own knowledge while building empathy. So, in these classrooms, when I'm talking about empathy, what is happening is the elder kids, they are understanding the challenges of the younger ones and the younger ones are gaining experience from these older ones, so they too are connecting, they too are building a bond. Now let's move to sensitive periods, which is like nature's learning windows. So what happens is children have biologically timed windows where certain skills are absorbed and extraordinary ease. So what is happening is with the age group of 0 to 3 and we talk about language, here children absorb spoken language effortlessly, which is immersion, not drilling. So here, as I say, they are doing it effortlessly, we really don't need to put any pressure. Moving ahead, when we have the age group of 1 to 4, movement is the key, which means they are refining their motor skills. We just let them pour, carry, climb. It's not play, it's neurological wiring. Then the next one we had ages 2 to 4, wherein we are talking about small objects. So what happens is that these kids have a focus, a very intense focus on tiny details. This is why toddlers are actually obsessed with tiny things. They honor it. They want to know everything about that tiny thing. When we move to ages 2.5 to 6, there is a certain order we expect. So, strong need for predictable routines and sequences is important. So, we need to see that disruption feels catastrophic to them. So, there has to be a particular balanced routine in place. Now, when we talk about social behavior, that comes between the age groups of 3 and 6. So, here We talk about making the children learn about manners, empathy, community norms, and which all are absorbed through modeled behavior, not lectures. So if I have to teach something to my daughter who's 4 and falling in the same bracket of social behavior learning, I really have to keep a lot of patience and tell her things. If I simply tell her, okay, fine, you are expected to do this, you are expected to do that, she will not do. For instance, like if I talk about, when I'm like talking about the things also and she's roaming around, she has to be told. It's not that it will come to her automatically. Then the next is ages 4 to 5, which talks about writing and reading. So here we are having the hand that is leading the mind. We are trying to make the children write before reading. That's the Montessori sequence. Then when we speak about prepared environment, in which we say that the classroom is the third teacher. Now in the classroom, what's happening? Freedom of movement. So children are able to walk, choose materials, and work on rugs on the floor. So it's not a sign, it's just happening. Then we talk about child sized everything. Everything in the classroom is according to the children's needs, from furniture to shelves to sinks to brooms. So all are scaled to the child to build the independence. When I talk about curriculum areas, I am talking about practical life. So children learn to pour, they learn to sweep, they learn to dress, and they actually learn the real independence, which is important. Then when I talk about exploring sensorial, they get an understanding of shapes, colors, textures, refining the senses. They learn to play with the mud, with the sand, with objects, and that happens with the sensory play. Then we have some self-correcting materials. So materials have a built-in control of error. Children will discover their own mistakes without adult correction, and that happens many a times. I will give you an example. The other day my daughter, she was playing with blocks when she had to fit it according to the size. So she tried doing it. She was making mistakes also, but she was able to do it herself. I did not really intervene in that category. Then we have next, which says beauty and order. So beauty and order are spaces which are aesthetically pleasing. Clutter is removed, and there are beauty signals that they actually try. The children also say this should be here, this should be here according to their wisdom. Then we have real tools, real tasks. So children actually learn to use scissors, glass pitchers, knives. Real responsibility builds real confidence. So you let them be free. Give them scissors under confidence, because that is also a skill. You can't just say, oh, don't use this, don't use that. Because when we actually inculcate these skills in them right from the beginning, they are able to make better use of these things. Next, we need to understand how is Montessori approach of education different from traditional approach of education. So when we talk about pacing in Montessori, it's the child's own pace. Traditional is teacher-led, teacher-set, and it is same for all. Motivation, there is an intrinsic curiosity in Montessori. In traditional, it is grades, stars, and those kind of assessments. Seating. So Montessori method, floor seating is there, tables, and freedom is there to explore. In the traditional one, we have the assigned desks and we have the assigned rows. Age groups, 3-year, mixed age classrooms also. And in traditional, we have the same age group. When we talk about correction, children learn to correct themselves. Normally in traditional, teachers are correcting them over different concepts. Testing. So testing in Montessori happens through observation and portfolios. When I say portfolios, these children make their journals. Whatever they have done for the year, they will keep compiling their work, and towards the end of the year, they are shown how beautifully they have progressed. But in traditional, there are standard tests that we normally go about. Teacher's role in Montessori, it is of a guide, of an observer. In traditional, it is more instructor led and authority led. Then we need to understand the science that is backing up the Montessori. So, modern neuroscience keeps finding what Montessori observed in 1907. So, we have first thing neuroplasticity. So, we say that brain science confirms early environments, they and the physical ones, they shape neural architecture. Montessori's enriched environments do exactly what neuroscience recommends. So it fixes the children's environment in the same way. Then we have the 2006 science study, which says Angeline Lilad's landmark study found Montessori children showed better social cognition, executive functioning, reading, and math skills versus peers. Then, if I talk about executive function here, so Montessori's focus on self regulation, planning, and independent work directly builds executive function. So, this is technically taken as the number one predictor of life outcomes because children are knowing what they are doing. It's not like that a set curriculum is focused and they are moving around it. Intrinsic motivation. So all the researches that have been done about Montessori, they focus on the fact of external rewards, and that is undermining the intrinsic motivation. Montessori was built around intrinsic motivation as a century before this research even existed. And now coming to the point that we are going to focus on is why it still matters today. So we are preparing children for a world that doesn't exist yet. Montessori was built for exactly that. AI and automation age. All of us know how AI is advancing in today's world. So the jobs of 2040 do not exist yet. Critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability, the core Montessori outputs, are exactly what AI cannot replicate. AI, artificial intelligence, it just can't go into the brains. So the outputs of Montessori are going to help children in survive in those ages. Mental health crisis, anxiety in children is at record highs. Autonomy, mastery, and purpose. This is what Montessori builds. And these are the antidotes to learned helplessness. Intrinsic motivation. So, a whole generation raised on likes, grades, and external validation is starving from internal compass. And this is where Montessori is playing the real role. Montessori offers a different model from day one. Collaboration and empathy. As we know that mixed age groups are getting catered to, peer teaching is happening, community care are happening. So these are the skills that determine whether humans solve the problems they create or not. Montessori at home. You do not need a Montessori school. Low shelves, real tasks, patient observation, and the principals working at the kitchen, they will all help you have Montessori experiences at home. Now talking about the global presence, 20,000 plus Montessori schools across 110 countries. So you see how widely this approach is accepted. It is just not a trend. It is a century old movement that keeps growing. And why it is growing? Because it is working. So let's find out the common myths around it. People say it is just free play, there is no real learning. They say it only works for gifted kids, or it is only for toddlers, or it is too expensive only for, wealthy people, and kids need strict rules to learn discipline. Nothing of that sort is the case. Montessori is basically about building skills. It is about precise predictions. It is about sequences. Montessori was originally designed or developed for children to understand things in a proper manner as per their perspectives. And there is nothing like it is only for toddlers. Like toddlers, we have talked about to the ages it can cater to. Then many people are following this Montessori thing. There is nothing like the fact that it is only for wealthy people. And Montessori children, they develop internal discipline, which is very, very important. They develop self regulation. So they don't need strict rules. With experience, with time, they learn all these things. So, how about you starting with this tonight? You don't need a school, you need a mindset shift. You need to lower one shelf or basket so that the child can access their own things without asking. We need to invite the children to help with one real task. It could be stirring, sweeping, pouring. And when they are struggling, we need to pause before we help. Because when we immediately run to help, they don't learn. So we are only hindering the process of learning. So the educators can also bring it at their homes, and they can also simplify their existing traditional classrooms. So that was all about exploring Montessori method. We can talk about more such methods. We can talk about more such disciplines. I would like if you would be sharing your comments in the comment box, and we can talk about multiple pedagogies and other things. Thank you so much, educators. That was all from me today.